Hello and welcome back to Jack Knives Reviews. I'm of course your host, Jack Knives. Let's take a look at a movie that is an unnecessary sequel to a much beloved film, where one of the main characters has green hair and there's unnecessary singing and dancing. That's right, Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. After the death of her father, Lydia, her daughter Astrid, and her stepmother Delia have to return to Winter River. Lydia has become a successful talk show host and is starting to see visions of Beetlejuice once again. While in the afterlife, Beetlejuice is trying to escape from his evil ex who's out for revenge. However, while this is going on, Lydia's daughter Astrid is in over her head and facing dangers that will require both Lydia and Beetlejuice to team up together. I went into this movie with little to no expectations. I mean, I love Beetlejuice, and I do love Tim Burton. However, his most recent works in the past 5 to 10 years have been somewhat of a mixed bag. His most recent thing, which I have reviewed, you could check it out on the link below, Wednesday, was actually a really good series, and it did stay true to form. And I was hoping, well, if he takes those kind of elements and goes a little more back to his old roots, I would enjoy this movie. And the majority of the movie, yes, he does do that. I don't think it really sways away too far from Beetlejuice, but it doesn't do too much outside of the realm of Beetlejuice. I remember I saw somewhere that one of the biggest criticisms was, this movie is just like a Beetlejuice movie. It's like, yeah, it's a Beetlejuice movie. One of the other criticisms I heard was, it's an exact copy of the first one. I'm like, no. I don't know what movie those people were seeing, but it's definitely not an exact duplicate of the original. Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, and Catherine O'Hara all returned for this movie, and yeah, for the most part, they're just as weird and wacky as they were. Winona wasn't as good as she was in the original, but considering in the original she was kind of just a paint-by-numbers character, they did add a lot of levity to her, and she did bring quite a lot of charm to her now that she's older and wiser. Catherine O'Hara was also keeping true to Delia Dietz from the first movie, being a weird, eccentric artist, really diving deep into that whole mythos of that. Jeffrey Jones, of course, had to not be in this movie because he's a massive pile of garbage. And the way they went around his character by simultaneously paying tribute to the original character, making it not only a focal point but a reoccurring gag, and also an inside joke all at the same time, it was brilliant the way they did it. It's also why they only show young pictures of him and not any recent pictures of him, because then it's a whole thing. But if you want to look up what Jeffrey Jones did, do it at your own risk, but let's just say really bad, and if there's a hell, he's definitely going to be there. The new cast had the simultaneous quirky, dark charm of Tim Burton, but also kept a little bit of their own kind of personality in there. I don't know, maybe certain characters gave off specific movies of his vibes. For instance, I felt that Willem Dafoe's character would be straight out of the Mars Attacks movie. Jenna Ortega plays Astrid, and as per usual, she plays a weirdly dark, angry, goth teen. But she does have a lot of charm to her. She's a little more aggressive than Lydia was, but she also has a lot of relativity similar to Lydia, where in an alternate universe or timeline or whatever, I could see young Lydia and Astrid kind of being friends. So it does make sense that Astrid would be Lydia's daughter in that sense. Another shout out in the movie that most people are not giving any credit to is Arthur Conti, who plays this boy that Astrid meets later in the movie, and he does a great job, and he's a dick. He's an asshole, but he's got a good amount of charm to him too, so it's kind of hard to get a good vibe on him. Justin Theroux is just pure slimeball villain that you just want to see get their comeuppance. His sliminess is like on full display, And it counterbalances Beetlejuice because Beetlejuice, even though he is a vile person, he is just desperate and he doesn't give a shit who he has to burn. This guy is like actively trying to be a monster and just trying to be sneaking in the grass, as it were. Beetlejuice is just out in the open about it. He doesn't care. It almost makes him look redeemable. Almost. And of course, we can't go further without talking about the man himself, Michael Keaton reprising the role of Beetlejuice. Now, he's not as aggressive as the original movie. In fact, his voice has drastically changed from the first movie to the new movie. I mean, no, it's over 30 years older, but if you listen to the way Beetlejuice talks, he has a little more of a high-pitched voice like this. But in the newer movie, because he's older, he talks like this, bub. In the original movie, Beetlejuice has a little bit of a higher pitch. And I know it was over 30 years ago, but it's just weird to see the transition between his vocal range going from really high pitch to deep, and then the higher pitch was his default, to now the lower pitch is like his default. And it's a weird dynamic for me. It took a bit of getting used to for me personally. Now, he is a lot more in this movie than he ever was in the first movie, as I believe collectively he's only in the first movie for about 17 minutes in total. The special effects are fantastic. Everything that they could, was all practical effects. Granted, there is some CGI, but it's not overdone. It's majority practical effects. And if you look at the behind the scenes footage, you see all the effects and where they went, and it feels great. It's something about seeing something that's real on the screen just adds an extra element that you never really get to appreciate unless you understand the filming techniques that are used. I absolutely love this movie. Honestly, I would definitely put it in my collection. I would recommend it to anyone who liked the first one. You will enjoy this movie, but granted, it will not be as good as the first. Overall, you're going to have a fun time with this one. I give Beetlejuice Beetlejuice 4.5 out of 5. Have you seen Beetlejuice Beetlejuice? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, I'll see you next time.